On the cold planet of Venora, the skies were always silver. The ground was covered in shining blue crystals. The buildings floated in the air. And the people flew with jet wings, but not everyone could fly, and not everyone could walk. One girl sat alone every day, watching the world go by. Her name was Alira. She was only 20, but her eyes looked older. She had spent the last 10 years in a hover chair. Her legs didn't move, not since the accident. Not since the day the ground cracked open beneath her. Doctors tried everything. Veneran science was powerful, but not enough to fix her spine now. She watched from her high tower. Others flew past her window, laughing, playing, training. Lyra smiled at them, but they never smiled back. Some felt sorry for her. Others avoided her like she was broken. Even her own family had stopped visiting much. She lived alone in that tower. A caretaker drone brought her food and checked her chair's battery. She read books, listened to music, and sometimes cried, but deep inside her heart something still burned, hope. Late one evening, she heard 2 maintenance workers talking outside her door. They didn't know she could hear them. "She's been in that chair for years," one said. "Poor thing." "Yeah," the other replied. "But have you heard? There's a human here now." "A human?" "Yeah, from Earth. The one with machines and old tech. What's he doing here?" "They say he can fix things no one else can." The words echoed in Elira's mind. A human. She had read about them. Strange creatures from a faraway planet, strong, stubborn, creative. They were not welcome on Venera. Most aliens thought humans were too reckless, too emotional, too different, but they were also known for one thing: they never gave up that night. Elira could not sleep. She kept thinking about the human. Could he really fix things that Veneran tech could not? Could he fix her? The next day she asked her, "Caretaker drone, where's the human?" The drone word for a moment, unknown. It said, "Human presence confirmed near Ice Sector 9. Elira's eyes lit up. Ice Sector 9 was far away, across the floating city. Her hoverchair wasn't built for long trips. But she had to try. She had to find him. She left her tower for the first time in weeks. People stared as she passed by. Some whispered, some looked away. But she kept going. Her chair hummed softly. As it moved over the crystal roads, wind blew through her long silver hair. She followed the signs, asking drones and guards for directions. Most ignored her, but one guard gave her a strange look. "You're going to the ice sector?" He asked. She nodded. He frowned, then whispered, "Be careful. The human doesn't like visitors." She didn't stop. The sky darkened as she reached the edge of the city. Beyond this point, buildings were rare, only old labs, and forgotten. Mines remained. Her chair slowed down, low on power. But she was close now. She could feel it. Then she saw an old metal door set into the ice. Faint light glowed from the cracks. She moved closer and knocked. No answer. She knocked again. Louder. Finally, the door slid open. Just a little. A voice came from the shadows. "Who are you?" "I'm Elira," she said. "I need help." There was silence, then the door opened fully. Inside stood a tall figure, not Veneran, not alien, a man with short dark hair, strange eyes, and tools hanging from his belt. The human he looked at. Her chair, then at her legs, then he looked into her eyes. 10 years? He asked quietly. She nodded. He walked slowly around her, thinking. Then he said something that made her heart race. "I can help you walk." Her eyes widened. "But," he added, "it won't be easy, and it won't be quick." "I don't care," she said. "If there's even a small chance, I'll take it." He smiled. "Just a little. You've got the human spirit," he said. And then, for the first time in 10 years, Elira felt like she was standing again. Not on her feet, but in her heart. Because now, there was hope. Real hope. And it came from the most unexpected place. A human. Asterisk, he came from a planet no one trusted. A place called Earth, to the aliens of Venora. Humans were wild creatures, too loud, too emotional, too unpredictable. But this human, he was quiet, and he had one goal: to fix what others thought was broken forever. His name was Callan, a biomechanical engineer. Born under Earth's red deserts and raised in the shadows of machine towers, he didn't come to Venora for war, for politics, or for fame. He came because he saw something. A forgotten blueprint buried in an old Veneran database. It was simple. A hoverchair model, 10 years old. Never upgraded, the file was dusty, unused, and hidden in an archive. But there was one note on the file that stopped Callan cold. Subject, Elira, spinal nerve damage, repair attempts failed, mobility, 0. That one note changed everything. Callan zoomed in on the data, read the reports, looked at the scans. He whispered to himself, this can be fixed. But the Veneran doctors had already given up. They called her a non-priority case. Too complex, too risky. They moved on. But Callan didn't. He sent messages to the medical council. They ignored him. He requested access to Elira's case file, blocked. So he did what humans do best. He broke the rules. He traveled to the ice sector, the place no one watched. He built a secret lab under the ice. There in the freezing dark, he worked day and night scanning every old Veneran healing tech. Comparing it to Earth's mechanical nerve systems, he built new models, sleek, strong, beautiful, robotic legs. Not just made to walk, but to move like thunder, to dance, to run, to climb. But for 10 weeks, no one came. No reply from Elira. No message, no sound. He almost gave up until he heard a knock. Soft, but clear, then another, louder. He opened the door, just a crack. She sat there in her chair, eyes tired, but bright. Skin pale under the cold sky. I'm Elira, she said. I need help now. Callan studied her up close. She was thin, weaker than he expected, but she had something in her eyes, like something sharp, something unbroken. Hope. He opened the door fully and let her in. The lab was warm, filled with soft lights and quiet machines. Lyra's chair hovered in slowly as she looked around. This place wasn't like Veneran clinics. It felt alive. 10 years. He asked her gently. She nodded. He crouched near her legs, scanning the old chair. No upgrades, no adjustments, just survival. He stood again and looked her in the eyes. I can help you walk, he said. Her breath caught. Really? Yes, he nodded, but not like before. He turned and pressed a button. A glass table lit up, showing 2 robotic legs, sleek silver with soft blue power lines glowing through them. This is what I've built, Callan said. Not copies of old legs, but new ones better. They will connect to your spine. Your nerves, your mind, they will move because you want them to. Elira stared at them, beautiful, strong, fast, but terrifying. What if they don't work? She asked. Then we try again, he said simply. I don't quit. She touched one of the robotic legs, her fingers trembling. It was warm, it felt alive, but outside, across the ice plains, someone else was watching. A shadow among shadows, a Veneran agent. She held a scanner in her hand. It glowed red. Human tech detected, she whispered. Unknown activity under ice sector. Her voice traveled through the wind to the council's ears. They did not like what they heard. Back in the lab, Callan looked at Elira. This is the beginning, he said. But it will be dangerous, I know, she replied. But if I don't try, I'll always wonder. They made a promise then, no matter what. They would finish what they started. He would build the legs. She would take the first step, and neither of them knew that this small act of hope would shake the stars. The lab was quiet, the machines slept, waiting, and on the table, under a soft golden light. The legs waited too, not just parts, not just metal. They were dreams. Elira sat beside them, staring. She had touched one before, but now it felt different. Now she knew what they meant. They were her future. Callan stood beside her, holding a datapad filled with blueprints and nervous code. These legs will do more than carry weight. He said they'll listen to your thoughts. Move when you want, stop when you need. They will become part of you. Elira looked at him, her voice soft. Will they feel like mine? Callan paused. Maybe not at first, he said, but your brain will adjust, your body will learn, and when that happens, they'll feel more yours than anything you've ever known. Right. He brought out a silver ring and placed it around her wrist. Neural tester, he explained. It sends small signals to see if your brain can link. The device glowed blue. A moment passed, then another beep. Signal received. Callan smiled. Your mind is strong, he said. Stronger than most? Elira smiled too, but deep inside, fear still lived. What if it didn't work? What if she failed again? She had known disappointment for 10 years. It had become a quiet shadow beside her, but this time, that shadow felt smaller. They spent hours together, building plans, running tests. Callan showed her every part joints, sensors, power lines. He let her hold them, feel them, understand them. I don't want this to be a mystery, he said. You should know what's going into your body. You have the right. She watched as he fine-tuned the legs, tightening pieces, adjusting response times. Your reaction speed might even be faster than most veterans, he said. She laughed. For the first time in days, a girl who couldn't move. Now, faster than a guard, that's funny. But outside the lab, nothing was funny. The veteran agent was still watching. She had moved closer now, hiding behind ice rocks, using cloaking tech. She recorded the heat signature, scanned the power surges, and sent one silent message to the High Council. The human is building combat limbs. Back in the lab, Elira held a small mirror. Looking at her own face, I used to dream about walking, she whispered. In my dreams, I would run through the crystal fields. Barefoot, no chair, no pain, just wind and stars. Callan heard her, but said nothing. He simply placed his hand gently on the table. Then we make the dream real, he said. They began the calibration test. Elira placed her hands on 2 contact pads. The legs on the table shimmered as internal lights flickered to life. Tiny motors hummed softly. And for a brief moment, the lab felt like it was breathing. A screen showed her brainwave patterns syncing with the leg's core processor. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. Then the lights in the lab flickered. Once, twice, Callan turned his head sharply. That's not right, he muttered. He opened a side panel and checked the energy grid. There was interference. Something's tapping into our power lines, he said. Elira looked worried. Is it dangerous? Maybe, Callan said, or maybe someone knows we're here. He shut down the external transmitters and locked the lab's doors for the first time. The safe place felt less safe, but Callan didn't stop. He turned to her again, voice calm but firm. We keep going, he said. They'll come whether we stop or not, but if we finish before they do, then they'll see something they've never seen before. Hope. Elira nodded. The fear was still there, but beside it now stood something stronger. Belief. She reached out and touched the robotic legs again. Her fingers didn't shake this time. This is not just metal, she said. This is me. Standing again, and in that moment, neither of them knew that the choice they had made together would light a fire across the stars. A fire that no one could put out? Asterisk, the legs were ready. The air inside the lab was heavy, not with heat, but with fear and hope. Elira sat on the edge of the table. Her old hover chair stood silent behind her, its lights dim, its engine cold. For 10 years, it had carried her, protected her, trapped her. Now it was no longer needed, at least. She hoped. Callan tightened the last bolts on the robotic limbs. His hands were fast but careful. He didn't speak. He knew this moment was sacred. Elira's heart beat like thunder in her chest. She looked down at the new legs, now connected to her hips and spine, silver and smooth, pulsing with faint blue light. They didn't feel like her. Not yet, but they didn't feel like strangers either. Callan checked her neural readings one last time. All systems green, he said softly. Elira took a deep breath. What do I do? He stepped back. Just a little, don't think, he said. Just want it. The lab fell silent. No hum of machines, no wind outside, only her heartbeat. And then she moved her foot. Just a little, just enough. The left foot touched the floor, then the right. Her body swayed, unbalanced, uncertain. But then, She stood. She was standing, both feet planted, her back straight, her eyes wide. For the first time in 10 years, she wasn't sitting. "I'm doing it," she whispered. Callan smiled, not proud, relieved. "Yes," he said, "you are." But then it happened. A sudden power surge ripped through the neural grid. Her legs jerked. The blue lights flashed red. Her balance broke. She fell not far, but hard. Her body hit the cold floor. Pain shot through her side. Callan rushed to her. "Are you hurt?" She winced, but shook her head. "No," she said, voice trembling. "I'm okay." He checked the connection, frowning. The backup regulator failed. He muttered, "It's not your fault." Illyria looked at the ceiling, her breath shallow. It felt like my body forgot it had legs. Callan nodded slowly. "It needs time," he said. "The mind and the machine must learn each other. It's not a command," he added. "It's a relationship." She closed her eyes, then opened them. "Again, I want to try again." Callan looked unsure. "You just fell." "I've fallen before," she said, "but this time I can stand back up." He helped her sit upright again, reset the regulators, recheck the sensors. "You're brave," he said. She smiled. "I'm tired of waiting for miracles." This time, she didn't hesitate. She moved her legs slowly. Carefully, they obeyed. She stood again, taller now, stronger, then one step, then another. Her body shook with the effort, sweat on her brow, her teeth clenched. But she kept going. Step, step, step. Callan stayed close, but he didn't touch her. This was her victory, not his. She reached the far side of the lab and touched the wall. Then turned. She was smiling, crying, laughing all at once. "I walked," she said. "No," Callan replied. "You conquered, but far above them in the ice towers of Venora." An emergency signal blinked on the council's watchboard, unauthorized. "Neural tech detected, source, human origin." The council members stood in silence. One whispered, "He's building weapons." Another asked, "Do we arrest him now?" The oldest among them stared at the blinking alert. "Not yet," he said. "Let's see what he's really making." Back in the lab, Illyria sat on a bench. Her chest rising and falling, the legs powered down to rest mode, glowing faintly. Callan handed her a drink. "First step's the hardest," he said. She looked at him with fire in her eyes. "Then let's take the next one." And in that frozen lab, beneath a cold, alien sky, a human and an alien girl had done something no machine could measure. They had taken the first step, not toward walking, but toward changing everything. The sky above Venora darkened, not with clouds, but with silence. Inside the floating council tower, 12 figures stood in a circle, each one tall, draped in shimmering robes of light and crystal. They were the leaders of Venora. They made the laws, and they kept the humans out. But today, their peace was cracking. A glowing orb hovered in the middle of the chamber. It flashed red, then white, then red again. A warning. The oldest counselor, Marek, leaned forward. "Repeat the message," he said. The orb spoke in a low, cold voice. "Unauthorized biomechanical signal detected in Ice Sector 9, neural. Sync system confirmed, human technology active." Gasps filled the room. One counselor hissed. "They said he was just here to study." Another snapped. "He's building war limbs." But Marek raised his hand. "Silence," he said. "We don't act on fear." He stared at the orb, his eyes narrowing. "Send a unit," he said. "Detain the human. Bring the girl." Too far below, Illyria slept, her head resting on a soft cloth. The robotic legs powered down beside her. Still connected, she dreamed of flying not with wings, but with speed, her feet hitting the ground, the wind rushing past. She smiled. In her sleep, Callan sat nearby, checking readings. The first test was done. It had worked, but just barely. He adjusted her neural link. Setting new parameters, he didn't know they were coming. Not yet. The Veneran guard ship flew silently. It had no lights, no sound, only purpose. Inside were 6 elite agents, clad in black armor that shimmered like glass. One held a tablet. On it was a file. Subject: Callan. Human. Status: dangerous. Another file below it. Subject: Illyria. former patient. Now modified orders? One asked. Bring them in, said the team leader. If they resist, neutralize. The lab's power flickered again. Callan noticed it right away. He frowned, stood up, checked the sensors. Static in the outer perimeter, heavy movement in the snow, too heavy for animals, too slow for wind. His eyes widened. They found us. He rushed to Illyra, gently shaking her awake. Get up, he said. Now she blinked. Groggy, confused. What's happening? They're coming, he said. Veneran guards. Illyra sat up, her legs clicking softly as they reactivated. The blue lines along them glowed bright. What do we do? She asked. Callan handed her a small earpiece. We run, he said. But not like before. He opened a secret hatch in the lab wall. It's a narrow tunnel of ice leading down. No one knows this path, he said. I built it just in case. Just in case. And now that day had come, the guards reached the lab entrance. They scanned the door locked. They used a laser key to slice it open. Inside, they found only silence. No human, no girl, only a cold lab and a chair with no wheels. The leader looked around. He picked up one of Callan's tools, held it in the light. This isn't just repair, he muttered. This is revolution. Illyra and Callan ran through the tunnel. The robotic legs moved smoothly now. Every step felt easier. Every step felt more like her. Where does this tunnel go? She asked. To the lower ridge, Callan said. Out of range. If we make it, we vanish. But they both knew the council would not stop. The guards would search, scan, track. They would not allow this kind of change, not on Venora. Not by a human, and not by a girl who was supposed to stay in her chair. As they reached the end of the tunnel, Illyra looked back. Are we running forever? She asked. Callan looked at her. No, he said. We're running toward something. He pointed to the valley ahead, filled with silver mist and tall crystal trees. I have friends out there, he said. Aliens like you, broken like you were. But now, maybe not for long. She stepped forward, her feet crunching softly on the frozen grass. The stars above shined brighter than ever. And behind them, the hunt had just begun. The wind screamed through the valley. The ice cracked under pressure. And in the middle of it all, Illyra ran, not with fear, but with power, with purpose. Her new legs moved like lightning, faster than any Veneran could dream, faster than even Callan expected. Behind her, black-armored guards burst from the ridge. They shouted, tracked, chased, but she was already gone. Callan followed close. A scanner in one hand and a remote detonator in the other. He pressed a button. The tunnel they had come through collapsed in a burst of light and snow. The guards were cut off. For now, Illyra didn't stop. She couldn't, not just because they were being hunted, because this was her first real run. For 10 years, her world had been still. Now the world flew past her like a blur. Wind in her hair, cold in her lungs, fire in her chest. She jumped over a frozen stream, landed without pain. She slid across glass-smooth ice and turned without falling. She was not just walking. She was alive. Callan's voice came through the earpiece. You okay? She laughed, out of breath. I'm better than okay. But up in the sky, a drone found them. It hovered high above the trees, scanning, watching, waiting. It sent their location back to the council. Inside the tower, Marek stared at the new. Alert, they destroyed the tunnel, one counselor said. They're escaping. Marek said, voice calm. No, they're proving something. He turned to his aide. Send message to sector guard teams. Do not kill the girl, bring her back alive. The aide paused and the human. Marek narrowed his eyes. Bring him back in pieces, back in the wild. Lana and Illyra reached a small ridge below them. Mist and light glowed from between crystal trees. This is it, Callan said. Safe zone. Illyra asked. Maybe, he answered. We built it years ago, before the council banned our work. There's tech here, and people who believe in what we're doing. They stepped into the fog. It pulsed like it was breathing. Strange. Machines hummed nearby, old human tech mixed with alien design. It was a camp. Hidden deep beneath the council's radar, aliens of all kinds turned to see them. Tall ones with wings, short ones with glowing skin. And all of them had something in common: wounds, scars, missing limbs. But when they saw Alira, walking, running, their eyes lit up. "She's one of us," someone whispered. Another said, "No," said a voice from the crowd. "She's free." Alira stood in the center of the camp, unsure. Callan raised his hands and spoke. "This is just the beginning," he said. "She was in a chair for 10 years. Now look at her. She's not a test. Not a weapon. Not an experiment. She is proof that we can heal." Whispers turned into cheers. The camp came alive with energy. For the first time in years, these forgotten souls felt something real. Hope, but the peace didn't last long. The ground shook, explosions in the distance. Drones swarmed the sky. The council had found them. Alira looked at Callan, his face calm, but his hands tight around his tools. "We hold them off," he said. "We defend this," she nodded. No fear in her eyes now. She stepped forward. The robotic legs glowing with full power, a guard drone dove toward her. She leaped high, spun, and kicked it from the sky. The crowd gasped. Another drone fired a stun. Shot, she dodged faster than any veteran, then took out 2 more with a spinning strike. She didn't just move, she flowed. This was more than escape now. This was resistance. On a nearby ridge, a young veteran council spy watched through a lens. He spoke into his communicator. "The girl is leading them," he said. "She's not just walking, she's fighting." Back in the council tower, Merrick stood in silence. He stared at the transmission Fadat, Elira's movements, her strength, her control. "She's not a weapon," he whispered. "She's a message," and though he didn't say it out loud, he felt something deep in his chest. It's not anger, not fear, but the first crack of doubt. The smoke had cleared. The sky above the camp glowed soft orange, and in the silence, one sound remained: footsteps, not the heavy steps of soldiers, not the quiet glide of drones, but the strong, steady rhythm of a girl who used to sit in silence for 10 years. Now, she walked. No, she led. Alira stood before the crowd of wounded aliens. Behind her, Callan checked the shield systems. The guards were retreating, for now. But the message had already spread across Venora. The girl walks, and the human made it possible. Inside the council tower, the room was quiet. The live transmission had ended. But none of the council members moved. Marek stood with his arms behind his back, staring at the empty screen. She did more than fight. One counselor said. "She inspired. People will want what she has," said another. "Legs built by humans, hope built by humans." Marek corrected quietly back in the camp. A healer scanned Alira's new limbs. "No damage, full sync, 0 lag, perfect connection," he said. "Almost like they were always a part of you." She nodded. "I think they were." She sat for a moment, just to rest. Not because she had to, but because she could. This time. Sitting wasn't a prison. It was a choice. Callan brought her a drink, warm, sweet and calming. The kind humans used back on Earth to steady the nerves after a storm. She smiled. "You never said why you helped me." He shrugged. "Because you deserved more than silence," he said. "Because no one else would." She looked down at her legs, the soft glow still pulsing. "You gave me freedom." "No," he said, "you took it. I just built the tools." News spread fast. Faster than the council could stop it. Across Venora, broken beings, those left behind, cast aside. Forgotten began to ask questions. They spoke and hushed. Voices at first, but soon they shouted, "Where is the human? Can he help me too?" And across the stars, from moon colonies to asteroid labs, more humans heard the signal. A quiet beacon Callan had sent just before the council attack. A message: "We did it. She walks. We need more help." The council met again, but the tower felt smaller, colder. "We cannot stop this," one counselor whispered, "even if we shut him down." "There will be more," Marek added. He stared at a picture of Alira walking across the camp. Her smile wide, her arms open to a child running toward her. It was not a threat. It was life. A life returned. A future rebuilt. Merrick sighed. We tried to protect our world by standing still, they said. But maybe it's time we walk forward. 1 month later, Illyra stood on a wide stage in the center of Venera's capital. A sea of aliens gathered below. Broadcast drones floated in the sky. Recording every moment, she wore a simple outfit, but her legs shone like silver rivers. Her voice was calm but strong. I spent 10 years watching the world move without me, she said. I was told to accept it, but then a human broke that rule. He told me I could stand again, and I believed him. She looked straight into the camera. And now I walk not just for myself, she said. I walk for all of you who were told to sit quietly. I walk for those left behind. I walk for the ones still waiting behind her. Callan stood with the first blueprint in his hand. Others would follow, humans, veterans, aliens of every kind. Working together not to build weapons, but to rebuild lives. Later that night, in a quiet garden filled with glowing plants, Illyra sat beside Callan, stars above, soft music from the city below. He looked at her and asked, "What now?" She smiled. "I think I'll go for a walk." And so she did. No audience. No camera, no guards. Just her, and the sound of footsteps echoing through the future. Each one built by human hands, each one walking toward something better.